And we're off. Welcome to the Dedicated Physionic podcast. My name is Nicholas Verhoeven. I am a PhD student in molecular medicine, and today I'm going to be talking to you about a revolutionary new technology in cancer research. Not really in cancer research specifically. It's actually going to have a direct clinical outcome, a clinical benefit. So a group of bioengineers out of MIT, in conjunction with the Imperial College of London, have developed a technique to measure to figure out if a person has cancer without that person going in for any sort of scan, like a CT scan. So they've developed this system that if you have cancer, you can diagnose it for yourself from your home. And the reason why that's really powerful is, one, because it certainly cuts down costs, no doubt about that. But also, on top of that, it's a more reliable way and more accurate way of figuring out if a person has cancer. And I think this is especially going to be important for individuals who are in remission. So individuals who had cancer 3 years ago, the cancer went into remission, and then they obviously have to keep up with it, because they can't just assume, oh, well, cancer's gone forever, because in most cases, a vast majority of most cases, cancer's not gone. It's just been beaten back enough, and hopefully it'll continue to be beaten back for the rest of your life to a point where you don't have to worry about it. But with this new technology that they developed, which could literally end up becoming a take-home kit that individuals would take, and it would be painless, absolutely painless. So let's get into it. What are they doing? So imagine they had two conditions. This was in rodents to figure out if this would actually work, and I see no reason why it wouldn't translate to humans, but again, you can't exactly say for sure, but there's a high probability it would. So they had two groups of rodents, one group that did not have cancer, one group that did have cancer, and they're using this new technology that's actually been around for a few years and is really going to be a future delivery method of different drugs and things of that nature. And I'm sure I'll make content on it specifically, but called nanoparticles. So nanoparticles, the way that they work is essentially you've got this drug or something that you want to deliver inside the nanoparticle, and then that nanoparticle can find its way, in a way, protected from the environment, so protected from your physiology. And in this particular situation, what they're doing is they're adding a protein cleavage site, meaning a protein tail of some sort, to this nanoparticle, so that the nanoparticle will stay closed. So the insides, the actual functional unit, the functional components of that nanoparticle will not function unless you cut that protein tail. And the reason why that's important is because certain cancers, and that is important for me to reiterate, certain cancers, not all cancers, certain cancers use what are called metalloproteinases, or MMPs. MMP9 is probably the most common. And I actually have content. I think my very first examined piece was on a paper looking at cancer migration using these MMP style degradation of our collagen and things of that, or extracellular matrix, I should say. So, but you can check that out some other time. But essentially, cancer can migrate using these proteinases or proteases, which is essentially a system or a series of enzymes that will cut proteins apart. So if you think of protein that you consume, that protein is made up of amino acids. I've said that 1,000 times. I will say that 1,000 more times in the future, and many, many more times than that, that you break proteins up into their constituent parts, and when you do that, you find that they're made up of amino acids. So they're made up of these smaller molecules, or smaller, essentially molecules that make up a protein. And these cancers apparently have a very specific type of protease that is an MMP. And this MMP will go through and degrade the environment around it so that the cell can move more freely in that environment by breaking down kind of the density of that environment that it's in. So that's how it's able to move through our system. And using the cancer's own MMP system of breaking down proteins around it, what this nanomolecule can do is, once it reaches the cancer cell, it gets cleaved by that MMP, that protease, and then that molecule will then unravel so that the molecule itself will then find its way to the kidneys. And because then it is a smaller molecule, it is able to be filtrated by the kidneys, meaning that it's going to end up in your urine. And then what it does is it turns your urine blue. And that's how you're able to detect if you have cancer. So a person, let's just take an example, like if a person is in remission and they decide, okay, I'm going to the doctor prescribes them this kit that they would take consistently every day, every week. I don't know how it would end up working out, but presumably every day or at least every week, where they would check if they have enough cancer around that it leads to a change in their urine color. And apparently it's very distinct. So it's very much like you have it, you don't. And it has to reach a certain concentration of cancer. So because we all have a certain level of cancer, it's just that our body's able to deal with it and kill it off until the next bout of cancer. But for individuals that actually have tumor growth, that's when it becomes uncontrolled, where their body's not able to deal with that particular cancer. So it needs to reach a certain size, but even so, that is much, much better than going and having symptoms and then going to your doctor or going in for your yearly checkup or 6-month checkup or 3-month checkup to find out that on a scan, and by the time it's on a scan, there are millions of cancer cells, millions. So it is to be able to see it with a naked eye, or not even naked eye, you need a scan to look inside the body. So this system would allow people to figure out through this nanotechnology, and they showed this with mice, that the mice that didn't have cancer, they showed no change in urine, and they had a bunch of different controls for that as well to make sure that the nanotechnology was actually working, the nanomolecule. And then the mice, distinctively, every single one of the mice, it was extremely accurate, extremely reliable, that every single one of the mice that did have cancer, their urine turned blue, and it was a distinct color difference. So you'd be able to tell well ahead of time. So you would be able to tell like a month and a half or 2 months or an extended period of time before cancer becomes so massive that you actually have symptoms again from that cancer. So it's a powerful clinical tool to be able to use. And they mentioned it in the article, actually, and of course I'll have that linked. People could literally just take a picture of their urine and send it to their doctor, and their doctor would immediately know this person has cancer and it's back. Like, I'm sure they wouldn't just give it to everybody, but especially for those individuals that are in remission, then you would, like, the next day you could just go to your doctor's office and they would already have a plan for you in terms of what you need to do. Now, I realize that would probably cause a considerable amount of anxiety, because you're taking this nanomolecule and you're like, oh my God, I really hope that in the next 6 to 8 hours I don't, when I pee, you're going to be paranoid every time you go to the bathroom, but that's still a much better alternative than going to the doctor's office, which some people might completely avoid because they don't want to have that diagnosis. So it's a powerful technique, really exciting for the future. And as usual, I'll have the article linked, the paper linked, and you can check that out for yourself and let me know your opinions. if you would like to chime in, let me know. I think it's really cool that you're essentially using cancer's ability against itself to detect it earlier than you would with our current detection methods. Okay, hopefully I have the pleasure of speaking with you in the next one, and I hope you have a wonderful day.